Last night was nice to see us bounce back. Team was pretty mentally drained, as you can imagine, over the weekend. That to be able to, we had a day off on Monday, weren't able to practice, which as a coach, you kind of like maybe, I mean, you could look at it different ways, have a chance to practice with the team and kind of, you know, get the kinks out and be able to have a day there with them before we play another game, or you go play right away and try to move on. We did have a good meeting with the players, coaches before we left to head up to Boca against FAU, and I think a lot of people spoke, and it was much needed to get some things out. And again, it's a bigger victory than you can imagine last night. Although it wasn't perfect, we did swing the bat great, which was nice to see. But we also let them score some runs there. But at the end of the day, I know the team is in a much better place mentally after last night than we were on Sunday night.
All right, Gino, our first question for you comes from Christopher Stock of Inside the U. Chris, go ahead.
Yeah, Gino, with that meeting, what was your biggest takeaway from that? The biggest thing that you thought got accomplished with the meeting?
Well, handling adversity was one of them. We felt like, this team has done that. We've been down quite a bit this year in terms of losing opening series, whether it was at Florida and game two, down a game. And then, we're down, I can forget, guys, 4 runs maybe in the 9th inning, whatever it was, to tie it up, and then win it in extra innings. And down against NC State on the road again as well, and got beat up really bad. I thought we played our worst game on that Friday against NC State, and we came back to win the series. And I just thought it was very uncharacteristic of our team what happened over the weekend in terms of we didn't respond, and we didn't handle the adversity as well as I'd like. And it got to a point where it was just a steamroll there where, come Sunday, I mean, it just took the air out of everybody, all of us. And so, that was disappointing. There was no doubt it's 3 games, although they were ugly and embarrassing, as I can ever recall. It's 3 games. So what's going to define us? These 3 games? We're going to let that define us the rest of the year? Or are we going to figure out a way to move forward, hopefully get a chance to play those guys again at some point and put ourselves in a position to play them possibly in the ACC tournament, but also put ourselves in a position where we're playing very good baseball and getting better throughout the season. We have to move on. You can't let this affect us. So, some of the players spoke, I spoke, JD spoke, and I thought it was very positive when we got on the buses to head up there. Our frame of mind was a lot better than it was prior to going into that meeting.
All right, Gino, we're going to go to Matt Shodell of Kane Sport. Matt, go ahead.
Yeah, hey, Gino. One more quick question about the meeting. If you could just address who called the meeting. Was it the coach's ideas, the players' ideas? And then also, if you can talk just about the inconsistency you guys have had. You look really good in one game and then not so good the next game, great in one series, not so great the next series, awful in the next series. So like, have you put your finger on what's causing that as well? If you can address those 2 things, that'd be great.
I called the meeting. That was my call. In regards to the inconsistencies, they're 18 to 21-year-old kids. They're going to be inconsistent. This is not the big leagues, and even the big leagues get inconsistent. Personally, I thought we were very consistent for about 6 games there, which is a pretty good stretch where we were playing very good baseball. You're right. We were inconsistent, and you're right. Awful is a good term to use for that weekend. I have no explanation for who would ever conceive of us losing like that to anybody, let alone those guys. So it just, again, kind of a domino effect of so many things. Why did we get beat that bad? We played horrible in all phases. We didn't get any good outings from our starters. Although I thought Saturday Victor threw better than the other guys, we played terrible defense that night. We didn't swing the bat at all the entire weekend. What I took out of it, we were not aggressive early in the count. They got ahead of us. We were a horrible job of hitting off speed pitches, did a terrible job. So I can assure you those are things all that we're addressing and working on. Inconsistencies are going to come, there's no doubt. But if we're going to be a team like I expect us to be, you can't be inconsistent too often. It better be very few and far between. But they are going to, Matt, they're college kids. You're going to see some inconsistencies. But that weekend, no excuse. Absolutely none. I didn't see it coming because of the fact that we were playing well prior to that for about 6 games or so. Just didn't see it coming. Totally blindsided from that stuff. But it wakes you up, and you got to learn from it. If we don't, then we're in big trouble. And so we as coaches and players, we all need to learn from it, grow up, put on the big boy pants. It's embarrassing. We got to wear it forever. But we're playing to win a championship, put ourselves in a position to do that. And there's a lot of games to be played. So we got to make sure we, like I said, regroup. It's the best word I can use right now.
All right, Gino, we're going to go to David Feronas of the Sun Sentinel. David, go ahead.
Hey, Gino, a big night for Alex Torres last night, the importance of getting him going. And then also I noticed the second FAU pitcher that you guys really jumped on was a lefty. And that's been an area that's where the line's been struggling. So just the significance of getting it going against a lefty.
That was significant. You're right. But maybe more so just you mentioned Terrell. And Gabe Rivera played, had a good game. And Gil played and got a couple hits and couple doubles, I think. And so we put in our veteran guys who had been struggling a little bit. We got them in there all together. And, I just felt like trying to get that feeling might have been a good thing. In 2019, we have 6, I believe, of the 9 hitters from our 19 lineup, which was one of the better lineups in the country. 6 of them are here, but we haven't been able to get them going. And, with Lala and Villar and Dell, it's been, consistent in the lineup. Those other 3 guys haven't been. Terrell has been, but Gil and Gabe haven't. And so I thought it was good to kind of get that mental feeling of getting those guys back in there and get them going. And it was great that they all 3 had good games. And of course, Terrell had the big game with the 6 RBIs. But so to me, that was the most significant thing. Trying to get that veteran consistency of guys that are supposed to be good players, good hitters. These are our power guys. We're supposed to be a power hitting team. And Terrell hits a home run and a grand slam, and Gabe hits a home run, and Gil gets 2 doubles. And so that's kind of what our mantra was a couple of years ago in our lineup. Those guys were our boppers. And along with the Lalas and the Villars that get on base, and of course Dell. We all know what Dell's capable of doing. So, I thought that was the most significant thing. And, hopefully that'll jumpstart us a little bit. And, certainly coming off the weekend when we didn't do anything, we were anemic offensively. But, yeah, and then, of course, you throw the lefty there. That certainly was, a good thing to see, our guys do. And we've been working, but we've been working hard. I mean, they see lefties every day. Our guys see lefties. The Friday guys against Florida State, he's been good against everybody. So I tip my cap to that guy. After that, there's no excuse. The guy who threw on Saturday, we knew what he was throwing. It isn't anything we haven't seen before. We did a horrible job of hitting his off-speed pitch. And again, we let the guy get ahead, took way too many strikes for whatever reason. I don't know. But, but we got to make sure that's something that doesn't occur again.
All right, Gino, we have time for a few more. We're going to go back to Christopher Stock of Inside the U. Chris.
Yeah, I had a couple questions on a few guys, if you could comment. Just Morales, he's been so good for you, but, kind of in a rut right now, these last 4. What have you seen from him? And then also Jordan Dubberly, you touched on it a little bit last night, maybe more important roles coming forward, I think was your message. But just how do you envision him? And then lastly, just rotation the same this weekend.
Okay, well, the first one, Yo-Yo Morales, is a very talented kid that is going through a little bit of a rut. And, the things that I see with Yo-Yo that I've seen from day one, he's a guy that's long and lanky, and he's on the plate, and he can get to a lot of pitches. That's the good news and the bad news. He can get to a lot of pitches, even pitches that are not strikes. So Yo-Yo needs to do a better job of having plate discipline. I think he's only got 4 walks on the year. That's not enough for his amount of bats that he has, which is probably in the mid-70s, if I had to guess. So he needs to do a better job being disciplined and not chasing out of the zone. And a lot of his outs have occurred pull side where he's out and around the ball and pulling the ball and rolling over, hitting weak choppers to third base. He's got a ton of those ground balls where he's got to do a better job, which he is a guy who hits the ball the other way. He does an excellent job with his hands of staying inside the ball and driving the other way. So we got to make sure that he gets back to doing that. And I have no reason to believe he won't, because he's a talented kid, and he's a very coachable kid. So in regards to Dubberly, he's just gotten better and better. It's something that we, knew was probably going to be the case because of guys who have come off of surgery. This is always seems to be the more norm is, it takes a little more than a year. And once they get back, it's going to take some, and he had a few outings in inter squads where he was okay. And then, each time he's thrown, the velocity he's got, because his velocity wasn't great when he first came back, not near where he was at when we recruited him. He's getting closer and closer. He's almost to the point, not quite, but almost to where he was when we recruited him in terms of velocity. And with that, his command has gotten better and better. He's a guy that's got a, 3-pitch mix of fastball, breaking ball, and changeup. And I'm not comparing him to Brian Van Bell, but he's got those similarities to where he's a command guy, which is what we saw. His velocity is about the same as Van Bell's, and he's got a good changeup and break ball, maybe not to the extent of Van Bell, but he's a command guy. It's got to be able to throw in and out with his fastball, and changeup's good to where guys will chase. And we saw that last night, and I guess just what I'm saying is each outing he's gotten better and better. So yes, his role for us certainly needs to be of more. They're all important, but yeah, I mean, we're looking at certain things with him right now. In regards to the rotation, right now it's going to be the same in terms of Rosario and Medeiros, and then it'll be TBA on for Sunday.
All right, Gino, our last question for you comes from Luis Zavala of CBS4. Luis, go ahead.
Gino, do you worry at all about confidence with this group? And is that one of the reasons for the meeting? And you also mentioned getting some of those veteran guys in there who maybe steady the ship a little more than maybe, you could right the ship a little bit easier because you have so many of those veteran guys.
Yeah. Well, when you ask the question, do you worry? You didn't have to finish it, because I always worry. If you're a coach, you're always worrying, no matter who you are, what team we've coached national championship teams. We're always worried about guys. And so, yeah, I think that was a huge part of the meeting after that weekend is we all got beaten up. I mean, my goodness, that's just something I've been swept before, but never like that. And by the way, we got swept in 2001 by a Cal State Fullerton team that we had no business being on the field with. None. They killed us in every game. And we went on to win the national championship. So crazy. The sport's a crazy sport, but it does throw daggers at your brain and your mind, and you're always trying to fight through it. And mentally, I think that was the most important thing that we did in that meeting is, we needed to make sure we let them. I wanted to hear them speak. I wanted to hear what their thoughts were on the weekend. I mean, I spoke and JD spoke, but majority of the talking after I started was the players. And I actually liked what I heard from a lot of the guys. I thought it was very positive. And yes, the veteran guys were, by the way, a lot of the guys that spoke were veteran guys. And I wanted to hear that. And that was good for me because it made me even feel more confident in terms of the lineup that I was going to put out there for last night. But yeah, I mean, your confidence can get kicked around in this game, and you gotta be mentally tough to handle it. I always say that. Those are two of my more famous words in this profession for me is you got to be mentally tough, and you got to be able to handle all kinds of adversity. And we talked about different adversities, not just baseball. We talked about other adversities that are much more, can be more devastating, let's put it that way, than baseball. And you have to deal with it. And certainly we've had that in our program. And, I think it was some very good life lessons that were talked about. We can control all that. You can control your mind, your energy, your passion. You're never giving up. And sometimes you can't control chasing a breaking ball in the dirt. You can't control, you leave a pitch over the plate. I mean, it happens. That's part of it. You can't control what you do with your mind. And that's a big part of what was talked about yesterday.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, Gino, our last question for you comes from Christopher Stock of Inside the U. Go ahead, Chris.
Just wanted to follow on what you're thinking for Sunday, maybe some options or scenarios that you'll be considering. And then the guys that pitched last night, I assume that there's enough time that they could get back as options.
The guys that pitched in the bowl. What do you mean? Which guys that pitched? The two guys that pitched last night?
Yeah, Jake and
those
Jordan
guys
with
are-
that days in
Yeah.
between game.
Yeah, we'll take Jake's going to go with us. He's always been available for us in a certain situation on the weekend. Obviously, we got to keep in mind he's throwing, for the midweek. So, but if a situation comes where he can throw for us, he threw 85 pitches maybe last night. I don't see him throwing Friday, but maybe Saturday in a situation where it calls for it. I don't know about Sunday. We'll see. Obviously, Dubberly will be available this weekend in some capacity. But the first two games will dictate a lot of things. Heck, we don't know. We hear we got weather on Sunday, so you never know. You might be playing a doubleheader on Saturday. So we're just going to see how the weekend unfolds, Chris, and that'll dictate kind of what we do on Sunday.